have sons, and I knock on their doors, ask them to let me take their trash out. I did whatever it took the right way, whatever it took to get some money. And it's not just, I just needed money, it's just, I wanted money that I could call my own. Once I got older, let's say the 8th grade, because I kept selling candy, but it wasn't that profitable, so I stopped. When I got in the 8th grade, Walmart, they set the price for full-size M&Ms, 50 cents. I found that out and went in there that same day and bought every bag of M&Ms. I took them to R.B. Hudson, what just became R.B. Hudson, and I sold those same M&Ms for $1. I made 100% profit. I spent $200 on M&Ms and made $400 in the end. The next week, the price was back up. They didn't have those M&Ms for 50 cents again. I took that money, along with some money I made from a summer job, and I bought myself a camera. I bought this camera because I wanted to be a YouTuber. I wanted to be a YouTuber. My granddad, before he passed, he was a famous photographer. So I already knew my way around the camera. The passion didn't start to kick in until I got my own camera, and then I started playing around with it. I started taking pictures of my cousins, my friends, making videos. We was just having a good time. This became profitable. I started taking pictures for people. They would donate me some money in return, because you have to have a license to take pictures and ask for money. So they gave it to me as a donation. Then I started my YouTube channel. How many people in here want to do YouTube? Well, YouTube is an easy way to make money. You just gotta work, man.
That's right.
I made hundreds of dollars on YouTube. I got numerous videos with thousands of views. Some got 5, some got 20. Y'all can check it out if y'all want to. But I did YouTube. I made some money. And with that money, I bought me some more equipment because my photography career was just starting in my eyes. So now we're here. I've just participated in 2 business pitch contests. The first one, I did okay. I didn't do my best, but I learned a lesson. And the lesson that they gave me, the judges, is that you have to be prepared. And that's pretty much the reason, in my eyes, why I didn't win, because of preparation. So this next business pitch contest, the first one was worth $1,000. I won $50, dead last. That next one though, it was worth $10,000. I competed in it. I was prepared this time. I won $7,000 of the $10,000. I have my business license now. I'm a part of something called the foundation, the chamber of the Dallas County Chamber. So basically, the Chamber of Commerce is basically a network that was already built, and you have to be, once you're included, you get so many contacts. There's so many people. That's the entrepreneurship side. I did all of this with no education from any college. I'm 17 still. I just graduated high school in December, but I started this a long time ago. My message to you all is, as long as you work for something and you allow yourself to be vulnerable and to actually want something, then you can have it. That's all I got to say.
All right.
So some of y'all are wondering, how did he graduate in December? We don't have December graduations. Well, he took everything he needed, and there was nothing else for him to take. And so once you get to Selma High, you have a transcript. Just like when you get to college, you'll have a transcript. So that is your Bible for school. It tells you what you have to take, how many times, how many math classes, how many whatever history classes. And then when you run out, and there's nothing else they have to offer, then you get to be done with school early. Now, Kamau is still enrolled in school because he's on the track team. So you have to stay on the road to go to prom, to go to graduation, to stay on the track team. Yes, it's track. A lot of people were guessing basketball. He played around with basketball for 1 year, but it's track. He runs track. Kamau, you wanted to say something?
That's new. What I just basically that's something I did as class president. Usually, if you had all your credits and you didn't have any more classes, usually they'll just throw you in some random elective. But now we have it to where if you take all your core classes, you get all that out of the way. You can get a letter from Mr. Pritchard, our principal, and you can graduate early. You're done with school. You don't have to come back to the school anymore, but you still participate in the school functions like you said, sports. So if you like play baseball in this season, you still be able to do that. So when you all get into 12th grade, I encourage you to take all 4 of your main classes: English, science, history, and math. Take all of that in the first semester, and the next semester you can focus on what's about to be before you, because life right before you graduate, I believe, is scarier than after you graduate, because now it's crunch time. You got to make that decision. Like, what am I about to do? So that's my next.
So, and while you're out of class, you actually have to be doing something. So you can't be at home. You have to. So Kamau builds his business while he's out. Some students go to Wallace College, and it's a requirement, I think, that they bus you over there if you go to Wallace College. But you can't be out just to be out. So he had to have a document that says this is what he's doing, and he's building his business. He had to have documentation to do that. So it's something for you all to think about. You are in front of the 8 ball now. You are right there in front of it. You know now, you have this information now. Man, I can finish early, and then I can get to the business at hand. See, you all have it so much more greater than we did. We couldn't do all this stuff. People were just going to school and going to school and going to school, and then they get to Selma High. There's a random class that I have to be in because there's nothing else for me to take. Now that I'm going into a random class. But if you're thinking on the business at hand, I can be doing something productive toward what I want to be doing when I leave this school. Okay, so now you don't have to be sitting in random classes. So I like that part about this class, that they created this. All right, we are now going, and this is a good segue into Mr. Togo Coles. Togo is going to come up and take you into another aspect of money. And so let's give him a hand as he comes up. He's going to tell you a little bit about himself.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
I am glad to be here. I'm gonna take this coat off. I like to be comfortable.
All right.
All right.
Good year. Wrong color.
Okay. So I'm glad to be here with you all. I'm glad to be home. This is home for me. I grew up in Selma, and now I live in Florida. And it's good to see familiar faces, good to see a new face whom I'm interested in. I'll touch on that a little bit. Amen. And it's good to see you all, some of you whom I've seen before. My thing that I am happy that you're doing is something that I've always said over the years when I've come back and talked to groups when invited by Councilwoman Benjamin, is don't wait. If you have a dream, a passion, a business, or something you want to do, don't think that you have to wait till you're out of college or out of high school or 20-some years old or 30-something years old. The best time to do it is the present. Tomorrow's not promised. I usually say, and I've said this twice before, so here we go again. How many of you like math? Okay. Hands down. How many of you like drawing, colors? How many of you like computers? How many of you like science? Okay? So, the discipline that I usually come from when I speak is a discipline of business. So my persons who like mathematics, you all are my accountant people and my finance people. I'll explain the difference from my perspective. Nothing I say is absolutely correct. You all have your own perspectives, own opinions, and as you read more, learn more, experience more in life, yours becomes even more validated to you. I had a professor in college who told me, Dr. Ananobi, used to be at Selma University years ago, he told me he wrote a book. And because he wanted to increase book sales, he made his book that he wrote the text for all of his classes. Economics, finance, management. The title of the book was Implications on Conditionality. How the International Monetary Fund would take developing countries in Africa and loan them money. I'll give you $1 million, but the interest rate is 80%. Or I own factories in your country. So I make it difficult for you to pay that money back, but I'm going to give you a loan. So he was saying back in the 90s that African countries should reject loans from the International Monetary Fund. So when he found out that I was reading this textbook, he called me into his office after class and he said, now that you're reading my book, and I know that you're reading it, go back to read it to disagree with me. Any book you read, go back to disagree. You have to realize, and this was a pivotal point, one of the pivotal points of my life. I want you guys to realize this. A person who writes a book is no different than you. They're just somebody who took the time to put thoughts to words and words to a binder. If you disagree with them, or if you practice disagreeing with them, the practice of disagreeing with them, it strengthens your position, or it reinforces what they're trying to say. But you don't want to take what's in that book as absolute fact. You want to be in a position to research for yourself. So that was a lesson from that. So those are my people who want to do accounting, into mathematics. Those are my accountants. Those are my finance people. Those are my people who like drawing and colors and all that kind of stuff. Those are my marketing people from a business perspective. Those who like computers, they're my IT people or my website developers, graphic designers. Those who like science, you're my engineers. So as you all think about businesses or things that you want to do in life, you don't have to wait till you get out of high school or into college. You work with your peers around you who have those interests and build your company while you're in school. How much do you charge for photography for an hour, roughly?
$75 an hour.
Okay.
2 hours.
$75 an hour, roughly, for a 2-hour minimum. What does a 2-hour minimum mean? At least 150. He's got to come. He's got to set up. He's got to break it back down when he's done. That takes time. He gets paid for his time. What if he has to cut grass, either at home or at a relative's house, and his mother tells him this grass needs to be done, it needs to be cut today. And he's got a photo shoot. Is he going to do the photo shoot or cut the grass?
Photo shoot.
Why?
Because it involves money.
It involves money. But what about his mother? Isn't his mother more important than money?
Family.
What was the answer right here?
Pay somebody else to cut the grass.
Pay somebody else to cut the grass. So he's going to call somebody. Anybody like cutting grass? I like cutting grass. It gives me time to think. I drove here this morning, woke up at 3 o'clock this morning, drove from Florida. And the best part about it is time to think about what I was going to say to you all. Time to listen to audiobooks, things like that. All right, Brother Young. All right. How much do you charge to cut grass, young man? Yeah. Just give me a number. How much money would you like to have in your pocket in an hour? $100. Huh? 30? Sound like a deal? You guys work on a number. Come to an agreement.
I'll meet you in the middle and say 20.
Would you do it for 20? It's your time. Who's lawnmower?
5.
Huh? You got a lawnmower? Okay, so you get the lawnmower from your dad. Who's paying for the gas?
I'm just paying for the service.
Paying for the service. So you got to pay for the gas and all that. So you might want to go back to him and ask him, you have $5 more since you got to pay for the gas too. All right, but that's the exchange that you guys agree upon. Okay, so now he cuts the grass. He does an excellent job. All of a sudden, you have a lawn service business. You're an entrepreneur. Good word, good call. And you have outsourced the grass cutting. Your mother's happy because that work is done. So you bought your time back. That's a practice that I want you guys to get into or learning. When you work a job, you're selling your time. Your boss pays you to do work. I'm doing this amount of work for an hour, so I'm worth this much per hour to do this job. But you might like your free time. Who has a hobby? What do y'all like to do in your free time? Sleep. That's very important. 4 hours a day. What do you like to do? Bike riding. Very good.
Go on my computer.
Computer. Okay. Red shirt. Red jacket. Fortnite. My wife likes Fortnite. I don't get it. Yeah. Yeah. All right. So we all have hobbies. So when you have things that you have to do, you may say, "Hey, do I want to cut the grass, or can I pay somebody to cut the grass? Do I want to wash my car and spend 45 minutes wash my car, 30 minutes wash my car? Or can I go through this car wash?" Okay. So there are things that you can do to free up your time to do things that you want to do, you prefer to do. That's called buying your time back. It's important that you understand that concept. When I talked about growing up here and you guys starting now, don't think that it's too late. I mean, that you need to wait to do things. Over the past year and a half, 2 years, there have been 2 huge movements nationally that came out of Selma High School. The Me Too movement. Tarana Burke, she would have been, I was class of 91, so Tarana would have been class of 90 maybe. Somebody might know. But she was a class ahead of me, a class or 2. So she founded the Me Too movement, but she's from here. Black Voters Matter. Cliff Albright, April England Albright, and Latasha Brown. They were class of 87. Okay, Latasha was. So don't think that you all have to wait. The ideals are born here, rooted here while you're here now. Always remember that the actions and things that you do now can be held against you later. There are consequences. So everybody knows the joke as I came in is where was I coming from? Everybody knows I like to travel.
Florida.
One of my favorite places to travel to is Cuba. So right now, it's been in place for over 50 years. There's an embargo between the U.S. and the Cuban government. So I got flagged by customs my last time coming in. Well, I had that issue too. But they asked me, why are you going down to Cuba so much? Right. They asked me, why are you going down to Cuba so much? And I said, people, relationships, All right. So they looked up my entire background in the computer. I don't have a criminal background, so I thought.
Okay.
I've worked corporate jobs for 20 years. The customs lady sat me down in the office here in the United States, She said, what's this gun possession? And I was like that too. I was like, what? I'm telling y'all this story because I keep it real. All right. I said, what? So I vaguely remember. So during the 90s, we always talk about issues when black brothers get pulled over by the police nowadays and how to get home. Make sure you all get home. Make sure you survive to get home. You deal with the issues afterwards. If they didn't take you into custody, you do that. But don't give them a reason to say you were resisting. Know your rights, though, but make sure you get home and let your family, somebody else deal with the issues. But I'm speaking from my perspective, from my experience. In the 90s, we used to get pulled over for no reason. A lot. And I remember it's Concordia, well, it was Concordia, but the children's home, I got pulled over with my best friend one night. They pulled me over. All of a sudden, 4 police cars were around me. And they searched the car and found a gun. The gun wasn't mine. It was in my possession in my car. It was my uncle's gun. I knew it was in there. I'm not saying it wasn't in there. It was my uncle's gun. My uncle used to be a police officer. He's deceased now, but he was a police officer, and he used to take me out in the country target shooting. So on an occasion, I went out by myself to the country out in Marion Junction target shooting and had the gun in my car. So when they pulled me over, they searched, gun in the car. My uncle, being a police officer, came on the scene. He's like, oh, it's mine, no issue. They left. I'm 45. That had to be when I was 16 or 17. The Customs Department asked me about that incident. So now I need to go back while I'm in town, find out, was I ever charged? What was the disposition of it? Why is it still showing up? Or why do they have it? Why is it in the system? Okay, so the things that you do today can have consequences down the line. I say that because I mentioned Me Too. Respect the women. Respect the ladies. Respect your brothers. You never know. Look at Bill Cosby. Look at R. Kelly. Okay? Don't think that what you're doing, they always say, what does in the dark comes to light. You never know. I was 16. Okay? So I want to talk to you guys briefly. I got about 10 more minutes. I told Councilwoman Benjamin I was going to talk to you all about wealth. Okay? I want to teach you guys I want to talk to you briefly about the difference between money and wealth. Have you ever heard of somebody being wealthy? What does that mean to you all? Rich. Okay.
That means you got more money to spend in a lifetime.
Have more money than you can spend in a lifetime. Now, what does it mean to have money? Money for a specific time. Cash for a specific time. Money is a measuring instrument. It measures how much work you did over a certain period of time at a certain rate. Here's the analogy I want to give you. If you turn on the sink that you would wash dishes in, we're not washing dishes now, but if you turn on that sink and the sink goes into the faucet, you turn on the faucet and it goes into the sink. If you let that water go down, where's it going to go? In the drain. When you get money and you spend it right away, it's going down the drain. If you close the stopper on it and it accumulates in the sink, you're saving the water, right? That's what we're going to say is wealth. Okay? We're brothers and sisters here. So we're going to keep it real. In the Asian community, $1 stays in the Asian community for how long?
50 days, is it?
28 days. Okay? In the white community, a dollar stays in that sink for how long? 19 days. In the black community, how long does a dollar stay in? 6 hours. 6 hours. We are consumers. We are consumers. One thing that I want you all to practice doing, I know we don't have a lot of money right now. You will. And money's not the most important thing. Your relationship with people, your relationship with brothers, your spiritual relationship, those things are more important. But one thing I want you guys to work on is spending your money with your people. Spending your money with black businesses. If the black business doesn't exist that you want to spend your money with, start it. Start it. Start it. Keep the money in our community. Why? So the Asians come over and they open up nail shops. How much money are they spending in our community? Zero. They don't spend the money in our community. They keep it in their community. 28 days per dollar. Whites aren't spending money in our community. In order for us to build ourselves, we have to start with each other. I'm not really into designer labels and expensive clothes and everything. Walmart, $8. Probably wore it last year, or a brown one, right? But I'll just give you an example. 6 minutes. I got 6 minutes left. Sean John. Who's Sean John? Who knows about Sean John? Who owns the clothing company Sean John? Puff Daddy, Diddy, right? That's his clothing line. Diddy gave $1 million to Howard University. So if we're going to spend money with our people, let's make sure that they're giving back to us. When you spend your money to another black business, with another black business, say, hey, I'm giving you this dollar. I'm spending my money to you to cut grass when I can pay somebody else to cut my grass. But I want you to spend this money with another black business. Selma has a population of, forgive me if I'm off. Selma has a population of 18,370. Okay. The African American population of Selma is 15,424. We have a lot of churches in Selma. If every person in the church, say all 15,000, rough numbers, say all 15,000 of those people went to church. 15,424 people gave $10 a week. That's $154,240. If everybody gave $10 a week for a whole month, that's $616,000. Then the next step would be up to buy a block, buy a neighborhood, buy up the hood. In this room, we have people who have carpentry skills, painting skills, electrician skills. You take one of these young men and you let them be your apprentice. You teach them that trade. We rent the houses out to each other. He's cutting our grass. And his crew, because you can't do it alone. You're taking photography, giving the pictures to our real estate agents. They're selling the properties or putting them on a website that somebody built for rent. We then begin to build a community that is for us, by us. Okay? Then we say the churches did it again for another month. That's another $500,000 the next month. There's a lot of farmland. We're in the Black Belt. Buy up a farm. The farmland and the land is for sale because the generations don't want to be farmers. Okay? So the land is available. So we take the land. You growing peas, you growing okra, you growing corn, greens. Somebody's canning it, putting labels on it. Southern Groove syrup. We had a hurricane in Florida a couple years ago. Robert Childers came to my house during the hurricane. He was in Miami. I knew he was in Selma. I said, bruh, come on up from the storm. He showed up with his attorney. We sat in a room in my house for 4 days. Wrote his business plan, picked out the designs for his bottle, designed his label, got his FDA regulation. 4 days. Build your businesses. Your team is here. Your team is in this room. That's why my brand is team. Let me tell you a quick story. Years ago, I used to play tennis. And I was trying to get sponsors. So I sent sponsorship letter out the subway. My management company was Wu-Tang. Y'all heard of the Wu-Tang Clan rap group? So Wu-Tang Management was my management company. And the reason I went with Wu-Tang is because they had an investment banker in New York. And I figured that if Wu-Tang knew what to do with their money, they would know what to do with my money. Okay? So when Wu-Tang, and my clothing designer was Carl Kanai. Y'all don't remember Carl Kanai. The older people know. So I had Carl Kanai gear on me, Wu-Tang Management. So we sent the letters out for sponsorship. Subway sent me a rejection letter. The rejection letter said, we're unable to do this at this time. However, we recognize the diverse team that you have put together. Team Togo will be successful, we feel. So that's why I named my brand Team. Okay? So now we do podcasts. We do apparel. We had a baseball team. We do a lot of stuff. But basically, when somebody comes with an idea, we turn it into money. Okay? So just to give you, and I'm at my time limit, but give you a couple things I'm working on now. Cannabis is legal in Canada and some states in the United States. We're getting a business license in Canada, and we're working with U.S. producers in legal states to export product into Canada since it's the largest market. Okay, that's one thing we're working on. Cuba, we still have the embargo, and since President Trump is the president now, he's tightened restrictions on dealing with Cuba. So out of Canada, I'll run my Cuban cigar business to export into Africa. That's why I told you need to go to Africa. And one of your first trips needs to be to Cuba as well. The reason I love Cuba is because Cuba is Selma. Selma has a lot of pride. We always talk about 2-7. Cubans have a lot of pride. We don't agree with everything that Castro did and how he did it as a dictator, the former president of Cuba. We don't agree with everything that he did, but the Cuban people have a lot of pride, and the average Cuban earns $20 a month. So when I go to Cuba and see what they're doing with $20 a month, government subsidized because it's a socialist state, socialist country. So their housing is provided. They have a doctor on every corner, a doctor for every 126 people. Free college education for not only Cubans, but for all people of African descent. If you wanted to go to college in Cuba, you could go for free. Okay? So I love Cuba. All right. My time's up. Anybody have any questions? Fire away with questions.
So how I can get efforts for Sophia free education?
Okay, how do you go there to get a free education? All you have to do is apply. But the trick to applying is that there are a couple ways. There are certain universities here in the United States who have partnerships with them that you can do it through them, or you would have to send a letter to the Cuban Department of Education, and they'll directly send it through to the university. Everything in Cuba goes through the government, everything. But the other thing that you would need to do is learn Spanish. That's the twist in it. You're going to need to study in Spanish.
That's cool.
Yeah. So anybody else had a question?
You're using the Marcus Garvey did that in the early 1900s.
Okay.
To bring the community together. He sold bonds. And every bond was worth the value percentage of the organization. And Marcus Garvey did that, but his second in command was actually working for the FBI.
Oh, wow.
So
Yep.
they used him to frame Garvey to get him from doing it because he had built such a strong organization in America with blacks. He built his own army.
Yeah.
And he funded his own army. So he was set up by his second in command because he was an FBI informant.
I need to do more reading on Marcus Garvey. I appreciate that, but I encourage you all, it's very important. Not only read up on Garvey, that's an interesting story, but please read.
But he gave the community value by, if you paid for a bond, you bought into his business. So blacks shop inside their community because they own part of the community that he built.
Right. It's a co-op. You know, it's like they have the farmers co-ops out there. If you're a part of it, you're vested in. Go ahead.
Now the question is something you say, and you young guys that you know, if you running out here selling bags of weed and whatever, you know how to dispense.
Right.
You know how to run a business.
Right.
If you can count your bags and you know how many grams it takes to make an ounce and all this stuff, you can run a business. It doesn't have to be in weed. It can be in medical, pharmaceutical, whatever. You got the unction, you got the knowledge to know how to do it. That's what you already know. You can use that ability to be able to go in workforces like you see everybody else. You got what they got. You just aren't applying it in the right places.
It's basic business skills.
You know, the average drug rep makes $125,000 to $150,000 a year.
Right. So what they're doing in the corporate world now, the corporate world is learning from the hustlers, from us,
Exactly.
how to run their businesses. Okay? I want to talk to you. We don't have to talk today, but I talked to Councilwoman Benjamin a month ago. So the Black Farmers lawsuit originated out of Selma. Chestnut Sanders and Sanders law firm handled the lawsuit. Cuba, where I go, imports 80% of their food. They're an island. So they import 80%. So I want the roster of all the black farmers. I want their yield on what they're producing every year. You produce okra, you produce corn, you produce green, you produce whatever. Tell me how much you're producing, what your cost is wholesale. I send that to the Cuban government. I get my truckers, my black truckers, to truck all the goods to the port. Port of Mobile, Port of Tampa, New Orleans. We send it to Cuba. We make money. I was telling them about the black farmers idea that I mentioned to you the other day. Because there's our trucker right there. All right. So thank you all for your time. Any more questions?
They'll get to talk to you during the breakout session.
All right. Okay.
Thank you so much, Mr. Togo. We appreciate it very, very much for you bringing the wealth. So y'all have a little bit more understanding of how it works, how it all works.
I owe you a visit anyway.
How we may take our money, we may want a Snicker bar. You may want a Snicker bar, but if you let that money pile up, you can go buy a whole lot of Snicker bars, right? You have so many, you don't want to eat them all. You can sell some and eat that one Snicker bar that you wanted.
So I'll send you guys.
You can sell all the
so you know I won't
rest.
tell
We want to talk about doing the breakout session. So this is the old setup, and I gave them the wrong setup for this room. Usually when y'all come, y'all know there are 3 round tables here and 3 round tables there. So I need some hands to help put those 3 round tables there. We're going into break before lunch. Make sure you wash your hands really well, because I know you've been shaking hands with everybody. You've been having your hands on the program, and sometimes ink gets into your hands and all those kinds of things. So take care of all those matters. And I need several gentlemen, probably those of you who are sleepy, It'll help you wake up. To help us bring some tables in on the side, 3 here and 3 there. We're getting ready for our breakout session after lunch. So we're going into lunch now, into break, and then into lunch, and then into our breakout session. That's when you'll get to talk to these gentlemen in a more close setting. Okay, you'll be in a round table. You're going to break out, and every 7 minutes, you're going to switch tables. All right? So give me some hands. Yeah, you sleepy, aren't you? Come on, stand up, stand up. We're gonna help you. And he was the first one to volunteer. I love it, love it, love it, love it.
We do.
Yes.
We do
See, you move too fast. This is like an auction. You too. Stand. Okay, and y'all just follow me. I need about 6 of y'all. All right, you're on break. Go ahead and wash your hands. Use the restroom.
Take it to market. Yeah, turn that to revenue.
I got it.
What's going on?
How are you, man? Harris, Maurice Harris.
Togo.
Pleasure to meet you.
Yeah.
Face is familiar.
I know. I've seen you before, but it's been years, and then I'm never here that much.
Okay, so what part of Florida you live in?
I'm in Tampa now.
Tampa. Cool, cool. Yeah, you should run all down through there, man. I was telling them about my drug experience all down. I stayed in Bradenton.
Yeah.
I crossed the
Right across
Skyway
the-
Bridge.
Yeah, that's right. That's
yeah.
What's that, Ybor
good
City
area.
down there?
Huh?
What's that little hangout spot? Not Ybor City.
Sarasota?
Ybor?
Yeah,
Yep.
Ybor City.
Ybor,
That's where I used to go hang
yeah.
out. My sister lived
Sarasota,
there.
Y'all gotta
St.
come down.
Petersburg,
Anytime.
all that.
Every time I go to Tampa, some female try to marry me.
Right. Anytime y'all come down that way, y'all got a place to break bread.
For sure.
So you were saying something about cannabis. I invest in high time,
Okay. Yep.
basically.
Yeah, I'm trying to buy some weed too.
Yeah. well, I basically do it from the medical perspective, and it's a very great investment.
All my friends and family.
Very great investment.
All my friends and family.
So-
I don't smoke it, so
Yeah.
I guess I'll buy from
Right.
the stock market.
You know, because what I'm looking at, I'm reading a lot of medical studies that they're doing with individuals, especially
I got you, man.
seizures and all of that different stuff, man. Because I have